Hello, sweet friends, and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, I am so glad you are here and that you picked this video to start with on my channel. If you are not new here, I am also so glad that you are still here after such a long hiatus. As promised in my last video, this is going to be a life update video. I am going to let you guys know where I've been, what has been going on in my life, what's been going on in my heart, how my health is, how my body is, and then at the end I'm going to do a little channel update and just let you guys know what you can expect from me moving forward. But without further ado, let's back up all the way to December of 2022. That honestly feels like a very long time ago, which I guess technically it was, but in December of 2022, I was living my life very normally, and I was even doing Vlogmas. One day in December, at the beginning of December, I had gone to work and I woke up that day and I felt like I was not myself. I felt off, and to be honest, I don't know what other words to put to it other than I just felt off. I didn't feel like myself. I went into work, and I guess it was about halfway through the day I started to get an insanely bad headache. Think like a migraine times 10. It was extremely excruciating, and I began to slur my words, and my left hand and my left foot had gone numb. So naturally, me and my husband were extremely concerned, and I really wasn't able to communicate with my husband because of my speech, and I could hear him talking to me and I was understanding him in my head, but I wasn't able to like make myself say the words. And we were both obviously extremely scared, and he took me to the ER, and the ER that he took me to was it wasn't a full ER, so they didn't have an MRI machine in-house. They ran some tests on me and they eliminated the things like a stroke, a heart attack, things like that obviously at the age of 30, actually at 29 at the time, I shouldn't have been experiencing. They ruled those things out. At that point, they had given me medicine for my headache. I was told to make an appointment with my primary care physician as soon as possible, but mainly just to go home and sleep and keep an eye on myself. And if I got worse or if new symptoms came up, I was supposed to go back to the ER. So I came home and I slept for about 16 hours and woke up the next day and I felt relatively normal. I still felt off, but my headache had gone down drastically. My speech had come back. I was able to have, a normal conversation with my husband. So I woke up that next day and I went to work and I called my primary care physician and I kind of told him what had happened. And I asked him if it could have just been like a really bad migraine. And he said, given my history, that didn't really make sense because I didn't have a history of migraines. I would get headaches sometimes, but not what I would consider a migraine when I think of a migraine. So he said, given my history, it didn't seem normal, especially with the speech problems. I don't know if I mentioned this either, but my vision kept it would go blurry and then it would kind of come back, and that was concerning obviously as well. So he made me an appointment, but I went and I saw him that day, and he said, we're going to make you an MRI appointment. We're going to figure out what's going on. I am so thankful to him for just knowing me. There is something to be said about having a primary care physician that you go to fairly regularly, that knows your medical history and knows you well enough to know that if something is off, it needs to be looked at. And I'm very grateful to him for that. So he made the MRI appointment. Yes, ma'am. Obviously, there was a lot of anxious thoughts in the waiting, but I did my best to kind of go back to normal. And about a week later, I experienced the same thing again. So my husband brought me home and I took some medicine, slept again for a very, very long time. But at that point, we knew, you know, something's not right, something's going on. And at that point, waiting the month seemed extremely excruciating. So my husband actually was able to call like just an imaging place, and we were able to get in like that next day. So this is about mid to late December. And the week of Christmas, I found out that I had been diagnosed with a brain malformation. So essentially what it was is my brain, where it sits in my skull, is protruding through like the spinal cavity. And that means that it was pressing into my spinal cord, which, if you don't know this, controls like so much, your brainstem and your spinal cord. And that's what was causing all of my issues, my headaches, my blurry vision, my speech issues, the numbness on the left side of my body. And it also was causing like fluid backup in my head, which causes its own issues. So as I'm sure you can assume, this condition that I had been diagnosed with, we had never heard of it. I was able to kind of look back with my doctor at the last 3 or 4 years of my life and was actually able to see some things that I had written off as other things. Like my vision would go blurry sometimes. It would give me issues. And I just kind of chalked it up to, I've stared at a screen too long today. At work, you know, working in front of a computer, we look at computers all day. And so I would write it off as that, or I would write it off as tiredness. The minor headaches that I was getting that would sometimes get bad, and sometimes they were just there in the background. Those different things like that I honestly had just kind of written off as other things. We actually think that now, looking back with hindsight being 2020, they were probably attributed to this. So of course you do what any sane person does and you Google it, right? So my husband and I Google it, and we talked to my doctor as well, but we immediately find out that pretty much surgery, brain decompression surgery, is the only thing that they can do to help. It's also not a cure. It's not something that they can fix, but they can make your skull more hospitable to your brain. So at this point, I began to really rapidly get worse. I was experiencing major weakness on the left side of my body. My balance and my gait had gotten really, really bad. Most days I wasn't really able to walk very much. I got extremely tired. The fatigue was really bad. The brain fog was really bad. I also began to experience some more of those, I refer to them as like zoning out. Essentially, I would know in my head that something was going on around me, but it was like I was zoned out and I couldn't kind of bring myself out of it, if that makes sense. And that was happening fairly often. And so due to my vision and those issues, and then of course just the weakness, honestly just everything, I wasn't able to drive myself anymore. Truly, honestly, was homebound. And even as I sit here and talk, I'm very sorry. I told myself I wasn't going to get emotional in this, but I should have known better. Even as I sit here and talk about it, I find myself getting emotional because you go, you know, one day having your life very normal. Me and my husband are very active people. We co-own and run a business together. We are very active in our community. We have lots of really incredible friends that we enjoy going out and doing things with and spending time with our family. We just are goers. We do a lot. So to go from that and being a very active person to having pretty much all of that taken taken away, I wasn't able to work, which of course was, a financial burden. So life changed very, very rapidly, is my point. And we were able to get in touch sooner than what. Let me just pause and say that God's faithfulness was all over this story. The fact that we were gonna have to wait so long for the MRI, and then we found out that we could go to this imaging place, we would get in insurance, like they approved it super quickly. That was such a blessing. Once we had my diagnosis, the next step was a neurologist and a neurosurgeon to meet with them to figure out what the next steps were gonna be. As far as moving towards surgery, I was on a waiting list for a neurosurgeon appointment, and it was going to be like 3 months just to get that initial consultation appointment with him. And we knew that there would be a process in between that and actually getting some type of resolution. Let me just pause right here and say that I know that these seem like a lot of really small details, but they weren't small details to my story. I look back and I see so much how God's timing was truly perfect. And so just know that's why I'm including all of these seemingly minute details. They are important to me and to my story, so just bear with me. I swear I'm getting to the major point of this video. But essentially at that point, I was gonna have to wait for a long time for this neurosurgeon appointment. And thank God, I have a friend who had a friend who had a friend, and they actually knew the head of neurosurgery at the hospital that I am a part of, and that guy just happened to be part of that hospital network. And he asked for details about my case from that friend, and that friend sent over the details, and he said, I want to see her, and I want to see her as soon as possible. And so being able to kind of cut through all of the people, who kind of, and understandably so, sit in front of and field, people and cases from these really, really busy specialists, I was able to kind of cut through some of that just because of this friend. And so I was able to get an appointment with him. Actually, instead of waiting like 3 months, I think is what I was gonna have to wait, I only had to wait a month. And once we got that appointment, there were a ton of other tests that I had to do to kind of determine what all needed to be done whenever they went in for surgery. Essentially, fast forward to May of 2023, I was able to have, it was a craniotomy and a laminectomy. So that is kind of the medical side of where I've been for the last year. Obviously, recovering from brain surgery is a lot, and then not really knowing exactly how my body would respond to it. And then of course, once you get back to your daily life after recovering from a surgery like that, and then also being away from the office for that long and away from your friends and your family, obviously there's a lot of life catching up to do. So that is kind of the practical side of where I have been for the last 14 months. The main reason why I wanted to make this video, the main reason why I had to make this video, is because I want to share with you guys my heart and where it has been for the last 14 months. So I am gonna get very vulnerable with y'all, and I hope that's okay. I hope you'll stick with me. I am probably also gonna get emotional, and that's okay too, I've learned. And Auburn is gonna be my support, apparently. In December, when my health really started to decline, I obviously got very scared, and it seemed like everything, like all of these things that I really loved, were being taken away, right? You had work, and you had driving yourself, and then you had feeling bad on top of it, so you weren't going with your husband to the social events that y'all had planned. It very quickly became very, very lonely. And I have some of the most incredible friends on the face of the planet. I am so, so thankful and grateful to them, because my friends and my family did everything that they could to make sure that I did not feel isolated and alone. And they did such a good job. I will never be able to thank them enough for it. But that being said, there's just something lonely and isolating about illness and about chronic illness. There's just something specific about it. And I know that so many of you can relate to that. And so honestly, when that first started to really set in, I did what any American would do. I numbed it. I turned on the TV every single day and I watched show after show after show. I wasn't really able to read as much as I would have liked because of my vision going in and out with blurriness, and some days were better than others, so I could read more on some days, but I was listening to a lot of audiobooks. I was sleeping a ton, which was not a problem. That was not part of the numbing. That was just the exhaustion from being ill. I truly was trying to drown out the feelings that I was having inside. The loneliness from watching everybody's life move on, everybody's life go forward with me inside the four walls of my own home. And it's like you logically want that. You want that for your friends and your family, but it is sad and it is hard. So I was really numbing it. I was scrolling all the time and I was watching TV, and there was just one day where I was laying on the couch and I just so sweetly felt him, almost just a whisper, say, well, I'm here. And not in a judgmental way, and not in a way of disappointment that I hadn't been pouring myself before him. Not at all. But in a way of, I love you. I love you so much. And I see you and I hear you and I know what you are going through, and I'm here. You can turn off the TV, you can turn off the books, you can stop scrolling, because I am here and I would love to spend time with you. And I broke. I broke because it was so sweet. It was just the sweetest moment. And so by the grace of God, that's what I did. I turned things off and I really took a step back, and I was opening my Bible more than I ever have, and I was praying more than I ever have, and I was just like, I'm gonna take this opportunity to meet with you because I have no other distractions. I have nothing else going on in my life but a Savior who's sitting in front of me saying, I love you, and I would love to spend this season of loneliness mending your heart. And that is what he did. More than anything that you get from this video, I want to let you know that what I learned the most from the last 14 months of hardship, I learned that all of your life can be stripped away. And when Jesus says he's enough, he really is enough. He strengthened me on days I did not think I would be able to pick myself up off the floor. He walked with me through the hardest parts of sickness and recovery from surgery. He was present. And I know to so many of you that might sound weird or odd, or maybe you don't understand it, but I promise you, he wants that for every single one of us, every single day of our lives. I realized I had fed into this illusion that even though I wasn't logically thinking that I could do every single day on my own, I of course wasn't logically thinking that because I logically, as a Christian, knew that I can't. But I was living my life in a way as if I could. And what I learned is that Jesus is enough, and I don't have to do it alone. Even when my life came back, when work came back and friends and social gatherings came back, I didn't have to be doing that season of life alone either. Among all of those distractions, he was there saying, I'm here, and I would love to do this moment with you, and the next, and the next, and the next. And I experienced in the last 14 months the sweetest intimacy with Jesus that I have ever experienced. And I pray every day to hold on to it against the distractions of this world. And I'm not here to say that I get it right every single day by any stretch of the meaning, But what I just feel like I had to share with you all is that no matter what season you are in, he loves you and he would love to be in that moment with you. He speaks in times of the wilderness. And so now I am figuring out how to take that wilderness with me into the places and spaces that I'm in every single day. And I just could not be more grateful for it. And because of the joy and the restoration that he has brought my heart and the way I experienced his love in this season of my life, I couldn't make another video without sharing that with you guys and letting you guys know that he loves you so much and he desires that kind of intimacy with you, that his timing is perfect and that he is there to sit with you in all of the things that life has to bring. And during that time, he really refined a lot of things in me. He helped me to realize some areas where I wasn't putting him first, some areas where I thought that I could do it on my own, some areas where I was going on about my business, not asking him what he thought about that or how he felt about this. As he refined those things, every single thing that he stripped away, he replaced with himself, because he is better. He is better than any of it. Anything that you can think of on this earth, I promise you, Jesus is better. And I just hope and I pray that somebody on the other side of this video is encouraged by that or is prompted to questions by that. My DMs on my Instagram are open if you have any questions at all about faith or Jesus or even just my season, my experience. I am happy to share with anybody who has those questions. I'm happy to talk to them. I would love to talk to you. I would love to be praying for you guys, any and all of the things, but I just knew I could not make one more video without sharing my heart with you guys and just how much these last 14 months have been the sweetest season of suffering that I ever knew could exist. To be honest, I didn't know that was a thing, sweet suffering, but there was definitely a sweetness to it, and it truly has refined me in ways that I didn't even think were possible. So I hope that this video was not all over the place. I hope and pray that what I wanted to get across in this video came across, and I'm trusting the Lord that if I sounded like just a crazy lady talking in circles, that he will somehow do something with it. But that is where I have been for the last 14 months. That is what's been going on in my heart. Maybe now you guys will understand just how grateful I am to be back sitting in front of you, because this literally would not have been possible for me a year ago today. And so to see how far I've come in such a short amount of time, all the glory goes to God. And I am just beyond excited to be here. I'm beyond excited to be back in this community, talking to so many sweet friends that I had made, that I knew were thinking and praying of me this entire time. So many of you reached out during my time away, and I cannot tell you the amount of encouragement that it brought me, the prayers of those who were praying for me. I don't know how to explain it other than it truly was felt. I felt lifted up by those prayers, and I am so, so grateful. And so with that being said, moving forward on my channel, here's the channel update. Thank you guys so much for sitting through. I don't even know how many minutes to get here, but moving forward, I am back. I am not planning, God willing, to go anywhere anytime soon. I do think my channel in my mind is kind of going to be moving more towards a lot of vlog content, because I just feel like that's a little bit easier for me to make and maintain if I just live my life with you guys, which I absolutely love. I love making vlog content. It's just like a little diary, which makes my heart happy, but also to be doing that with you guys, it just feels like kind of I'm living my life with y'all, and that is such a blessing to me. So I'm hoping to move more towards that. There will of course be sit down videos. I'm sure that I will do the TBRs and the reading wrap-ups for sure, and also some other fun stuff in there. I'm definitely not getting rid of the sit down videos, may even do some sit down chatty videos like this if that's something you guys are interested in. But I am just really passionate at this point, after everything, to be sharing my heart and my life with you all. And so I am really, really hoping that you guys will stick around for the content that's to come. I'm very excited about all of it. And again, thank you all so much for every single sweet thought and prayer and well wish that you guys gave to me while I was gone. And more importantly, thank you for sitting through this video and for listening to my heart. This video was a vulnerable video, and it honestly has taken me a little while to make. I knew a while back that I wanted to come back and that I wanted to make this video, but it is a little bit nerve-wracking to be this vulnerable in front of a camera and then put it on the World Wide Web. But I knew that's what I was being called to do, and so I'm resting in that. But again, just thank you all so much, and I love you guys so much, and I am praying for each and every one of you who watch this video and my videos moving forward. And I hope you guys stick around for my content to come. But with that, I am gonna hop off. Thank you guys again so much. I love y'all, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.